Good to go.
All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thanks for joining our Tech Talk through the Tech Academy. I'm Regina, by the way. And today we have Jeffrey Morris, who's a technical recruiting manager at Triad Technology Group. And he's been actually working as a recruiter for over 10 years now. So he's here to tell us a little bit about how to take advantage of LinkedIn and help it in your job search. So thanks for being here and take it away.
Thanks for having me. I did put some effort into making sure that you guys have all the information that I basically prep other people for and that I leverage myself. LinkedIn, although, is a unique tool because basically they constantly change the UI and they change how the tool works consistently to basically make it harder for recruiters to use so that they purchase their products. But for the end user, as just a job seeker, it doesn't impact you as much, except for if you were to get really creative with the search itself. I must admit, it's the best job search tool on the market, outside of leveraging professional or personal relationships for referrals in your technical field of choice. There are obviously, with any free tool you use, security risks involved and a host of other things you should be aware of because it is a social platform. So you do, want to take that in consideration if you do choose to use it. And just to segue really quickly into just social media in general and job searching, it's really important that with LinkedIn, you try and have it as open as possible so that people have visibility of your background and your picture. But that's where it stops. All your other social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else there is out there, that should be locked down because you really want to kind of keep the personal stuff personal and the professional social platforms open. Keep in mind, all of everything I'm going over is going to be my opinion. But my Facebook is locked down. My Instagram is locked down. My Twitter, I use it for work and recruitment, so it is somewhat open. But for the most part, like if you go, you're not going to be able to pull up any posts, any history. You won't be able to pull up any pictures of mine on any of my other social media platforms, except for LinkedIn. I have all of my social posts public. I have my picture public. I have my profile public. It's pretty simple to set this up so that everybody has access to that information. But again, it's up to you and you use the tool at your discretion, but it is instrumental in looking for work and leveraging relationships when you start building experience and you'll carry that on for a very long time. I've been using the tool since its infancy back in 2007 and it's went through a lot of changes since then. What is kind of changed over the time is that it's become more of a social media tool where you can share content on your feed, you can interact with others users' content. It's also a place for employers to build brands and things along those lines. But you do want to kind of be careful at the same time as far as the social media aspects. You basically want to kind of keep all of your activity pretty professional. It's totally okay to post content related to, your hobbies, what you like to do, what you did this weekend, what you were working on, coding wise. But, it's a place where you want to avoid any type of bias, good or bad, towards you that a potential employer could look at. A good example would be politics. Everybody has their own opinions and can get really passionate about it, and it intertwines with a lot of professional industries. My recommendation is it's not the place to have debates with people when it starts touching on that. Again, just because you're going to be using this as a public tool and you're going to have your posts public, you want to kind of keep that information to yourself. Again, my own opinion on the matter. when LinkedIn first started, they had LinkedIn groups, which was kind of like Meetup before Meetup got big. And it was brilliant. It was awesome. But over the last 5 years, they really kind of tailored back and basically kind of ruined the group aspect of LinkedIn. It really did take a nosedive. I rarely leverage groups on LinkedIn. It's probably even hard for you to dig and find on LinkedIn itself. So that's just kind of my introduction as far as the tool, how to use social media, how to use platforms, and specifically how LinkedIn should be used. Now I'm going to share my screen here. Bear with me a moment. So I got to pull this over to another monitor. Okay. All right. Can everybody see that all right?
Looks good.
Okay, sweet. So I'm going to pull up my profile and I'm going to kind of pick on myself here, and we'll bring up others as we go.
Maybe if you zoom in a little bit more, just because the words aren't really clear.
Better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, thank you. All the information I'm sharing with you today, I tried to organize in a document that I'll share after the fact. So feel free to take notes. Just understand that I'm going to give you guys all the information I'm talking about in writing to just make it a little bit easier, more helpful for you to apply the tips and tactics that I use. What's unique about LinkedIn is their algorithm. It's basically all about search engine optimization. Keywords and metadata. That's what puts your profile at the top above others when doing searches. And for lack of a better term, like popularity. So it's really important that you use every word, acronym, terminology associated with your experience, with your schooling, or maybe just your desired job. Maybe you don't have the experience as a front-end engineer. Most of your project experience is API and backend, but you really want to learn JavaScript. This is an opportunity for you to kind of add a lot of those keywords in so you'll come up in searches when people are looking for that skill set. LinkedIn also should look basically identical to your resume or vice versa. So, if I scroll down here on let's go to public view real quick. View profile. Okay, well, that's the best I'm going to be able to do right now. Basically, all of my content that I have on my LinkedIn profile is identical to my resume. Nothing changes. I don't redact information. I don't add additional information. It doesn't need to be shorter. It doesn't need to be longer. Basically, it should just be a replication of your resume. Now, I understand a lot of you guys aren't going to have professional experience yet. Potentially, you've went to the Tech Academy, but you have projects. Now, you can add the Tech Academy as experience and build out your projects here with links to your GitHub repositories with those projects. Now, there's also another section on LinkedIn that's buried, that's under accomplishments, and you can list projects. I would honestly not do this. I would use the experience section to show your education, to show your project experience that you've worked on, because that's when somebody scrolls down, the first thing they're going to see is your summary, your about section. Okay, here's my metadata. Here's all my keywords. And then they're going to see your actual experience. So that's why it's important to do it in the experience section and not under the project section. So you don't have to use exactly how the tool is set up, but rather think of it how you're going to be looking at it, or how a potential employer is going to be looking at the profile, what they want to see first. The other cool thing about LinkedIn is it allows you to personalize the URL, and it's really simple to do. Basically, if you're at your home, click on your name, that's going to bring you to your edit page, and then you can edit the actual URL right here. I recommend first name, last name. If you have a name like John Smith, you might want to be a bit more creative with it, but you got to think, how are people going to remember and search a URL? You want to make it easy. You can do the same thing on other social media platforms like Facebook. They'll create your own URL for you, and it might look something like that. And nobody's going to be able to remember that. And if you want to provide a link on your resume or any other profile, that doesn't look as good. There is a new option that came out during COVID that allows recruiters to see you're open to work. Now, this is a kind of a dual-edged sword here, is that it's only visible to recruiters. However, if you work for a large organization, HR very well could have a recruiter account and be able to see that you're visibly looking for work. So it's a good feature to use. But on the flip side, if you work for a large organization, you don't want them to know you're looking for work, it may not be an option you want to use. Keep in mind, I have this all written up for you on how to find it, how to use it. There's a couple different options, but basically you can say you're open to work and what type of work you're open to: full-time, part-time, consulting, remote only, on-site. It's a pretty unique feature that LinkedIn added, but it's only really going to be leveraged people using LinkedIn Recruiter, which costs money. But basically any tech company, any HR department with any decent recruitment talent is going to leverage this tool. They're going to pay for that service. And that's where you making a good LinkedIn profile is going to make a big impact. The other thing with their algorithm, just like any type of YouTuber, you got to put content out. You gotta, and I'm not talking about necessarily social media posts, but making incremental changes. So occasionally I will change my title to say, looking for candidates in PDX Metro or hunting for .NET engineers. This puts you to the top of their algorithm in their searches and also their social posts. So a lot of people do actually scan through here and use this like they would Facebook. I personally don't. That's where I make the line. I use it as a tool. I don't use it as a social media platform. But others will see, hey, Jeffrey Morris just updated his profile. When you have a large connection base, like I'm connected to 2,500 people, it allows the visibility to not just your people, but second connections. For example, Noelle Simone loved this post. I'm not connected to Daniel Abrams, but I saw it because I'm connected to her. It works first degree, second degree, and third degree as far as your connection window. So you'll never see anything past third degree. When you do updates to your profile, it adds that to the feed. It says, Jeffrey updated his headline, or Jeffrey changed jobs, or Jeffrey retired. Whatever change I make will change it on the feed itself. So I just set a reminder once a week, twice a week in my calendar to go in and make a post or to update my LinkedIn profile to some degree. Those are kind of the big things when it comes to how to use the platform. Now I'm going to run through exactly how to kind of build your profile and make it good, make it visible. So I'm going to just run through my page. Okay. And then if you guys want, I can search for maybe some software engineer LinkedIn profiles. I got a couple in mind that we can take a peek at. So at least someone else's experience is a little bit more applicable to yours. You know, I'm a recruiter. It's a different industry than development or QA. So the picture is important. People want to connect a face to a name. They want to know you're a real human being. Again, it's your comfort level, but it should be a headshot, like you know, basically shoulders up. At least at the minimum, you can have a body image or like half your body as long as your face is visible. People want to be able to see your face. Now, to me, I posted a picture of my family because my family is really important to me. They're basically work and family. I mean, that's what's paramount to me. So I have a picture. This is 2 years old. My son's birthday is this weekend, so I'm going to do new headshots to include both my kids. So this is a couple years out of date. My face has not changed much since then. So it would be appropriate to keep this picture. You basically only really want to update it if your actual face has changed. Like, you don't want to run with a picture that's 20 years old and, you know, you've colored your hair or you have no hair. Mine's slowly starting to go. So, you know, when it's gone, I should probably update the picture so I'm not, I don't surprise anybody on a video interview or when I show up to a face-to-face interview. Do what you feel comfortable with. If you like mountain biking, you like snowboarding, have a picture of you snowboarding as long as it shows your face. That's what's really important. The background image doesn't really matter as much. I have, you know, basically the PDX skyline. I'm a big outdoor guy and I love snowboarding and riding dirt bikes, and I do a lot of that in Mount Hood National Forest. So I chose a picture that had Mount Hood in the background. For devs, you might want to do like you know, the FizzBuzz challenge or Hello World, or like you know, maybe, you know, a programming humor style background. You can get creative with that side of it. Keep in mind, there's other people looking at it, real human beings looking at your profile. They might think it's funny. They might build rapport with you without even having spoke to you. So you can get creative here. This title here can be changed to a job title, or it could be, you know, Rob looking for JavaScript opportunities. This is kind of like your elevator pitch. And this can be edited right here. First, last, your headline. Now, again, the headline is something that I change close to once a week, every other week, as my incremental change to leverage LinkedIn's algorithm. Now, location is also important because they have Portland, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon metropolitan area. Now, I'm going to get into this when we start talking about utilizing the job search aspects of LinkedIn. For other large metro areas, they may have 4 different lists of locations. And each location is going to give you different jobs depending on what selection the job poster used. So you never want to use these drop downs. Instead, you want to use a zip code and a radius. So, you know, I'll put in my zip code and then I'll do a 50-mile radius when I search for jobs. So don't use location, use postal code with search radius. And I'll show that when we get to the job search perspective. Now, under contact information, you can tie a lot of different contact and other platforms to here, but people are only going to have visibility to that if they're connected to you. Okay. So I personally add my contact information on my about section. Connect with me here on my LinkedIn, on my email. And at the bottom, I have my email again, and I have my phone number. Now, with that being said, there are scraping tools that can scrape your contact information and sell it to the highest bidder, and then you get spammed. So, you do have to kind of consider that if your profile is going to be public. I've considered that. I don't care if they have my work number. I'm not going to put my personal cell phone number on there. I do give that out, but I'm not going to make it public. The same thing with my email. Everybody has it. It's already been sold. I already get spam. I don't care. Now you can get creative. You could create an email address just for your job search. It could be tile.cruz looking for work at gmail.com. And you can utilize that email address. I picked on you, Kyle. Sorry. You can utilize that email address to put in your about section so that people can easily contact you without having to necessarily connect with you on LinkedIn. Okay. I talked about contact info and then the about section. This is similar to your professional summary that you would have at the top of your resume. You're going to have an introductory sentence. Mine is basically my title with the locations that I work in predominantly, followed by my contact information. Now you'll see I have it in two spots. I have it right at the top and right at the bottom. I would recommend, if you're going to put your contact information on LinkedIn, that you put it at the top of your professional summary and at the bottom. Because basically mine's long. Your guys probably won't be as long as mine. It will show up twice when looking at it on screen. I do have my screen zoomed in 70% right now, and that's why you can't see it both at the same time. But again, that's if you choose to put it on there. Next is my basically my introduction sentence. Here's my skills. So an example for maybe somebody who's going to the Tech Academy, maybe starting their career in software engineering, or maybe this is your second or third career you're starting. This is your opportunity to say, recent Tech Academy graduate with over 5 software engineering projects under my belt. And then in parentheses, you could say, see GitHub, and have your link to your GitHub account. And then passionate about C# and front-end technologies like JavaScript and TypeScript, with experience building on Angular frameworks, with exposure to React. See these projects in my GitHub. That would be like a good introductory sentence. Keep in mind, I just made that up. So, you could obviously just kind of pick and choose what applies to what you're passionate about. Whether it's Java or C#, or maybe it's none of those. Maybe it's functional programming. I don't know. Maybe Tech Academy touches on that. I'm not positive, but F#. I mean, there's it's getting bigger. It's not just an object-oriented programming world anymore. So these are an opportunity for you to kind of do your quick introduction, 1-2 sentences. Mine is obviously focused on recruiting, NIT, what I bring to the table, tools I leverage to find people. And then I talk a little bit about myself, whether, hey, I'm really passionate about green energy and green technology, and I'm looking for opportunities within the renewable energy space. My philosophy when it comes to recruitment is full transparency. I don't BS anyone. I'm very straightforward with exactly what the job is and exactly what you're looking for, because I want to make sure that it's going to be a good fit for both the client and the candidate. And I stand by this. So that's why it's on my about section. And then obviously I have a little quip about equity, because it's important, and I want to make it known that I don't have any biasms whatsoever. Now this is my metadata, okay? And you guys would want to do the same. You would want to say my technical skills cover this, this, and that. Now I have it kind of built into sections. A good thing for you guys to do is have operating systems, programming languages, scripting languages, databases, and then you might have an other section that you list, various deployment methods or any cloud tools or anything along those lines. You want to set it up into categories, and then you want to list either what you have experience with or what you've been exposed to and you really want experience with. Because you got to keep in mind, it's all about search engine optimization, putting the right words in the profile so you're going to come up in a recruiter search when they're looking for a particular skill set. I'm going to open it up for questions right now before I come to the next sections. Any questions about title, introduction, or the about section? All right, sweet. Moving on. Your experience section. Maybe some of you have experience, potentially, maybe some of you don't, and you're basically going to be really leveraging your schooling at the Tech Academy. This is where you want to put it, okay? And you could get creative with the title. You call yourself full stack engineer if you're looking for full stack work. Call yourself a front end engineer if you're looking for front end work. You could say junior developer, leave it pretty vague. And instead of listing bullet points of your experience, you list bullet points of what you learned and the projects you've worked on. And it's important that you have links to those projects, because I was told that you guys will typically work on quite a few projects through your schooling, and then you upload that to GitHub. Obviously, you probably wouldn't want to upload anything you're not proud of. So keep that in mind. You don't want to show everything you've worked on if it's not the best work. So do keep that in mind. This is going to be public. You're trying to sell yourself to a potential employer who might be looking for someone junior with no experience, but has exposure to certain technologies. So do keep that in mind. Put stuff you're proud of. Put stuff that you're going to be able to talk to in detail about, why you chose the design patterns you chose, why you went with the technologies you went with for that particular project. You're going to you're going to be able to need to talk to it in depth. So again, only things you're proud of, you're going to put in your experience section. Now, if this is, maybe you have experience coming out of school, in between high school or college and the Tech Academy, you can put it here if it applies. Okay. So if you worked in general contracting and you had to coordinate a lot of different projects, you could leverage that and say, I'm able to spin a lot of plates. I'm well organized. I can coordinate a lot of moving parts and projects, which lends itself great to an agile environment where everything's broken up into iterative processes, and I can really pick and choose the story that I work on. So again, I'm applying experience that maybe doesn't necessarily fit in the programming world, but leveraging it and applying some of the skills that I've learned in a different career to the career and development by talking about development methodologies. Again, I'm just spitballing ideas here, but I'm hoping that this kind of turns on a light. Like, oh, I can totally apply this experience to my new career that I'm trying to get into. In this experience section, you want to use keywords again. You want to use the technologies that you're using for those projects, and you want to list it again here. And then any certifications or education. I personally, I didn't go to college. I went from school into IT, and then through opportunities and good luck, I landed in a career that I enjoy. But I do have one certification that I list, but I didn't go to college. I don't have a degree. I don't list it. That segues basically away from the profile, how to build it, how to use it, into how to look for a job, how to leverage this tool to actually hunt for a job, which is in this tool. Up here, this tab. So here's my search. Again, I do it by zip code. I do it by radius. Now, if you just typed in Portland, you're going to have two options: Portland metropolitan area and Portland, Oregon. You don't want to do that. You want to search by zip and then by radius. And then you create your search. Somebody give me an example of the type of job that they would be looking for.
Artificial intelligence engineer.
Okay. Now, once I've created my search, now AI and artificial intelligence, those are two different titles, the same job. So when I set this up, I'm gonna think, how is the internet gonna interpret the words I'm using to look for what I'm looking for? It's called Boolean, and it's basically like how creative you can get with searching in Google for the thing you want to hunt for. You apply the same logic in this tool. The exact same logic is it works in LinkedIn. There's a couple Boolean things that don't work, but for the most part, you guys aren't going to get into the advanced Boolean stuff. It's just going to be job title and keyword searches. Once I have this general search set up, I'm going to create a job alert. This is just going to automate your process here. Okay. So I'm going to create that alert. Now you can edit the alert. I'm not looking for work, so I don't have alerts set up. I basically just wanted to show examples for you guys. But basically, I would have my alert here, and you can set it up how often you want it to alert. I would always set it up to alert on new opportunities. So if something new opens that you hadn't already seen before, it's going to alert you in your email. That's how I have set it up. That's how I'd recommend setting it up. Don't keep everything in the LinkedIn ecosystem. You definitely want email alerts. And then you can easily just create a rule. I mean, I think most people are using Gmail, but whatever email service you're using, you can set up rules to have everything go into a certain folder so it's not bombarding your main primary inbox. So I have that search set up. Okay. Now, here's this is a remote role. I would recommend when you apply to jobs, apply to your local market first and then apply to remote jobs. Okay. Typically, the remote roles, they're going to want people with experience. If they're going to start someone remote, they're going to want someone who can hit the ground running, who's not going to need guidance, who's ready, who's seen fires, they've done design work, they've done development work. Those are typically, they'll be more keen on finding someone remote. Okay. That's not going to be the case for a junior engineer. I'm going to assume the majority of people sitting on this maybe have some experience or no experience at all. So I'm going to kind of tailor this this talk to those job seekers. If there's others who are professionals, reach out to me afterwards and I can go over how to kind of tailor your job search to having some experience under your belt. Okay. There's the easy apply. Basically, it's like 2 clicks and you've applied to the job. But all it's going to do is send your LinkedIn profile to the prospective employer on the other end. I would recommend that if you know you're way underqualified. Like this is a mid to senior. Actually, let me pick a local one. PwC is I'm going to have to pick on Intel. This one's entry level. And you see they don't have the quick apply button because they want you to send a cover letter. I would always recommend doing the apply to jobs that you have a better chance at, which are going to be entry to mid-level. Okay. Because the actual apply button, and in fact, it takes you right to Intel's job portal. So basically, Intel's saying we don't want to use the LinkedIn ecosystem. We want to use our own job portal. So this is where you want to apply to the job. But this is your opportunity to sell yourself outside of your resume. having a proper cover letter. I did another tech talk a couple years ago where I talked about resume in detail. If any of you are interested in that documentation, I have it available and I'll give it to you. And that goes more in depth with cover letters. Use the quick apply so you're not pulling out your hair having to do a new application process with some companies' obscure HRIS tool. Use the easy apply. And it's basically, I'm not going to go all the way through it, but basically uploads resume. Sorry, Oscar, you're applying to this job. They might have screening questions like, do you have experience with these tools? You answer that. And then the last page is going to ask you where you're at in the interview process. That's the quick apply. Use that when you are applying to a job you don't qualify for. And that's something I want to talk to in detail is when you look at a job description, it's going to have 10 years of experience required, a bachelor's degree required, 4 years of experience with a technology that came out 4 years ago required. I understand that that's their ideal candidate, but a lot of these job descriptions are boilerplate. HR wrote them 5 years ago, and that doesn't necessarily apply to what the manager will consider now. So it's worth it to apply to opportunities you're underqualified for. It's a numbers game. It basically, you use the same tactics the annoying, obnoxious phone and email scammers use. It's a numbers game. My rule of thumb when I talk to job seekers is 10 jobs a day. Should be applying to 10 jobs a day minimum, and really treating it as a full-time job. At least a couple hours a day you're spending applying to jobs. You're going to get a lot of rejection, but if you don't put yourself out there, you're going to leave a lot on the table. You're going to miss out on. I'm going to do, what's a popular skill set that you guys teach at the Tech Academy? Is JavaScript pretty big, or?
I've got JavaScript, Python, C#, database.
Let's do JavaScript because everybody has moved to light front-end frameworks. So if I'm going to set up my search, I'm going to do it really broad as JavaScript. I'm going to save that alert. And then I'm going to do another search that's going to be front-end developer. And I'm going to save that one as well. And then I'm going to do front-end engineer. And I'm going to save that one as well. So those are all real common job titles you're going to see for JavaScript positions. And again, easy apply for senior jobs. And then we can go experience level and we'll do entry. So Fleet Core, part-time entry level. I find part-time kind of strange for a dev position. Here's a prime example. They said it's entry level, but it says minimum 5 years of .NET experience, minimum 3 years in front end and UX, but it's an entry level position. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is an older job description they're using, but they'll definitely consider someone who has some coding experience from a coding school, and is just trying to get their foot in the door, leveraging their experience with just their projects. That's the basics. Now, there's a breakdown here where you can apply to specific companies. You can tailor this down. Again, I don't believe this is part-time. I would not use these search categories. I would stick with level if you're trying to narrow down the amount of jobs. So it's not 1,000 jobs you're looking at. It's like 50 jobs, and date posted. I would only ever do the past month. And if I was going to set up a search agent with this, I would only do the past 24 hours. Because a job that's posted 3 months ago, I guarantee it's filled. HR just didn't take it down. So that's the basics of applying to roles, LinkedIn profile. I figured it would kind of be fun maybe to show you guys the other side of the tool, what recruiters see when they're looking for talent. Does anybody have any interest level in that?
Yes. Yes, let's do it.
So basically, this is the dashboard. And you can set up projects similar to how you would set up a project for your job search. A recent project was I was looking for an internal recruiter for us. But if I'm going to use this to find talent, I'm going to go to my search. And then typically, again, just like what you guys would use for your job search, I'm going to do by a search radius. Now, I understand a lot of jobs are remote, but some employers are only set up to operate in Oregon and Washington. They can only payroll people who are local to the state. The job's remote, but they can't hire someone in Indiana because they're not set up to operate. They don't have a business account, a tax account set up in that state. They can't do it. So I'll still, a lot of times for remote roles, look for certain demographics. Like I'm only going to look for people in Portland. But I'm going to do a 50-mile radius because I want to pick up some talent that might be in Salem or Vancouver. And then we'll do .NET because you guys do a lot of Python, a lot of .NET, and a lot of JavaScript. So I'll do .NET. With .NET, my keywords are always .NET, C#, and if I'm looking for backend skills, I'll throw in SQL. If I'm looking for mid-tier skills, I'll throw in API skills. So like I might just do API or REST or SOAP, basically various other APIs. This is a really generic Boolean search. And then let's say they also need, maybe they have some like old ASP.NET websites hanging around. So they're going to need that skill set too. 1,400 candidates came up in my search. That's a pretty wide pool. I'm typically going to try and narrow it down from there. So I'm going to look for years of experience, and I'm going to look for somebody junior. I want someone in maybe like 0 to 2 years of experience. So this is where you guys are going to pop up in a lot of those searches, okay? So this is what I see on my side initially. I would have to open up their profile to see more. What a recruiter's looking for is, remember that headline title that I talked about, where you guys can put, JavaScript developer looking for work. I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to look at their job titles. And I don't care about degree. Majority of clients don't care about degree. Intel's an exception. They require at a minimum of associate's degree. Amazon says that they require a bachelor's degree. That's actually false. They don't. If you have the coding skills, they will hire you without a degree.
Interesting. Oh, sorry, Jeffrey.
Yeah, go ahead.
The second one down is one of our current students, Ivan Gallus.
I don't want to pick on him. If Ivan's on the call, I'll allow him to give me permission. If he's not, I'm not going to pick on him. All right.
Alrighty.
Ivan's not there. I don't want to pick apart someone's profile on a public forum like this. So we'll pick on Mackenzie. So he has a link to his portfolio, which is most likely his GitHub, I would assume. Oh, it's his website. Very slick. I like that. And he's got his resume and his contact information here. So it wouldn't necessarily be worthy to put it on your profile, but to make it more visible and easier for someone to contact you, I'd still recommend putting on your summary. He introduces himself, what he likes, what he's about. Never talk in first person. You definitely always want to have sentences written like they're bullet points in a resume for your LinkedIn profile. Never first person. I, me, we. Avoid terminology that puts it in that light, because people aren't trying to read your blog post. They're trying to read about your experience. Hired to update old, outdated websites from scratch with modern frameworks and clean code. Went on to work and help develop their large multi-store Magento 2 e-com site. So he talks about modern frameworks. He talks about clean code, but he doesn't actually tell me what code or what frameworks. So this is what I'm talking about, guys and gals, is using keywords and terminology that people are going to want to know about your background. He does a little bit better here with Coder Foundry. And I'm not, is that a coding school? It is. And he did it. He put it as experience, because that's going to pop up before education would pop up. And he lists a lot of the technology he uses. He talks about what they went over in school. Not the level of detail that I would want to see. I think you could be a little bit more robust here and not as concise in discussing the projects you worked on, but he does list the technologies, which is really important. Again, search engine optimization, keywords. And then he was an electronic tech, and some of that experience applies to what he's looking for now. So this is a decent profile. You can list skills as well. It's basically like tabs you select as your skills, but I would do that in addition to adding the skills in your summary. So if I'm looking for a junior .NET person, I would consider reaching out to him, even though he doesn't mention C# in his actual job, because maybe he does. So it might be worth reaching out. I'm looking at dates here. He hasn't done anything since 2019. You know, if you haven't worked or gone to school or continuing education for the last 2 years, I'm not even going to open it. See, listing skills, company. By the way, never spell .NET like that, ever. Just don't ever spell .NET actually spelling it out, because the framework is not ever written out that way. That tells me that potentially there might be some the communication skills. Potentially is not the best written communicator. I wouldn't know unless I screened them, but if I'm going to look at face value, that's going to be something that I would make a judgment on, just based on that. So you want to make sure you guys don't have any spelling errors whatsoever in your LinkedIn profile. It really does show attention to detail, especially with coding. When one key swipe can really mess things up, that attention to detail is really important. Here's somebody who also did a coding school. Using a lot of keywords here. I like it. Oh, and the Tech Academy, lovely. She put it under education, which again, it's fine, but you want to be selling yourself on your experience. So you want to have it under your experience section versus education. And you can have it in both. You can have your experience section that talks in more detail about the projects you've worked on, and then under education, you could just list it. And this is obviously somebody who's starting a new career. I mean, she's got a master's degree in economics, and she's getting into coding. So really cool. Not cool is to have a link to a website that's dead. So, you know, she's probably not active on LinkedIn any longer is an assumption I would make. All right. I went much longer than I anticipated on going through the profile. I would like an opportunity to just open it up if anybody has questions at all at this time.
Yeah, it looks like there are some questions in the chat box.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Shave your beard off and you're going to keep the shaved beard look, then yeah, I would update your LinkedIn picture for sure. If you plan on growing it back, how fast does it grow back? How quickly you're going to be in that interview? Yeah, definitely. It was like, it's funny, but like that is a good question. What's the contact? And I'm so sorry. I totally missed all of the chat messages as we went. My apologies. I was so fixated on sharing the screen. Apologies.
Yeah, we do like to do the questions at the end, so it's not a problem. We can just go through them.
Okay, sweet. So the contact info is only going to be visible to people that are connected to you. So with my network, so I talked to Ian yesterday and just connected with him. So we're first degree connections. Okay, I click on his contact. Basically, I have visibility to his contact information. Real apologies, Ian. So the same thing for here, but people are not going to have visibility to contact info unless they're connected to you. So that's why I recommend putting it in the actual profile. What do I use for keyword testing? You could test if your keywords are good on a Google search. Like if you're using terminology that you would use for searching for like a .NET role, if you put it in a Google search like .NET, C#, SQL, and you're pulling up a lot of .NET centric subjects on the first page, I would say those are good keywords. And ultimately, you should be putting keywords of skills that you've used or have exposure to. Hopefully, I'm answering that question correctly. Heard it's only worth applying to jobs posted in the past day or so. True? No, the past month. I would say the 4 week is kind of the golden number. But if you're getting too many search hits, like it's 1,000 jobs, you're not going to spend 3 hours going page to page. You would limit that search by narrowing down the time duration to like a day or a week or a month. No, there's no like temporary or contract category for job postings on LinkedIn, but it costs a lot of money to post a job. So typically an agency firm is not going to post a job on LinkedIn. They're going to post it on their website because it costs like $5,000 to $10,000 to post a job on LinkedIn. Give or take, depending on how the visibility and how long it's posted, it's not cheap. A lot of the larger companies, they have big platform license deals with LinkedIn where they can post like 100 jobs. So typically contract temp jobs, you're not going to find on LinkedIn postings. So Craig, did I answer your questions correctly? The only one I'm not too sure about is keyword testing. Okay, cool. All right, I think I answered all the questions. I'm going to show you guys one more thing here.
It also looks like there's another question in the chat box.
Okay. So Van, actually customer service experience is really important to software engineering because you're working in a team environment. And a lot of times your customers, the people you're developing a software for, are internal stakeholders. They're managers, they're frontline workers that aren't tech. You're going to need to be able to talk to them. And if you can actually talk to an end user and dig through requirements, you're adding more skills to your skill set than just development. You can do the analysis side too. So you can definitely leverage your customer service experience into development. You just wouldn't want to be really detailed on your LinkedIn profile, a few bullet points at most. And you basically focus on clear communication, being able to build rapport with all levels of an organization. These are important aspects that not every person's going to have. A lot of people are introverts. They're not comfortable being forward facing, talking with others. Like they want to be heads down, like just tell me what to do and I'll program it. So that's a skill that you should certainly leverage. And I would recommend putting that experience on LinkedIn. Just make sure that your experience section with Tech Academy is the majority of the content on your profile, and that the customer service job is 2 to 4 bullet points at most. And then you could also use that in your professional summary, by adding like information like, would work well in a multifaceted development role, providing analysis skills, leveraging customer service background with clear communication, something along those lines. Again, I just made that up, but an idea to use.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And then this is the resume one I did a couple of years back. And it really talks about resume in detail. And I think you guys could really leverage a lot of this and apply it to your LinkedIn profile. Maybe your resume is out of date. Maybe you haven't put a lot of work and effort into it. I'd be more than happy to share that with everybody as well. I'll reach out to Regina and figure out the best channel to provide that to. I think that wraps everything up.
Awesome. Well, you gave us a lot of great points to definitely improve everyone's resumes or LinkedIn's. And if anyone wants that form, go ahead and email me and I will definitely send it your way. It's at regina@learncodinganywhere.com.
And I would like to add, any of you would like to reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect, feel free to. You can leverage my network. There's a company you're trying to get into and I'm connected with somebody out there and I know them. I'd be more than happy to do what I can to make warm introductions. That is another power of LinkedIn, is leveraging your relationships, your connections with people to help you. That's what the tool is meant for. Don't feel afraid to do that.
Yeah, Jeffrey, do you mind if I ask a couple quick questions too?
Shoot.
So about a month ago, I received an email from LinkedIn saying that if I wanted to boost my name in recruiter searches, that I should respond to recruiters' messages on LinkedIn, even if I'm not interested, and do so in a timely fashion. Do you find that candidates who regularly interact with recruiters on LinkedIn appear higher?
No, that's definitely a tactic LinkedIn's trying to use to make their recruiters feel better. Okay. Like basically, it costs money to have an account, and I'm grandfathered in, so I get 100 emails, which is basically I can reach out to 100 people per month.
Yeah.
If they never respond back to me, I lose that email. Like right. I never get it back. I wasted it on an individual who never replied back. But if you reply and say, really appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not interested, I get that credit back. So it's a favor, but you also have to understand that there's a person on the other end. Like it's not a computer reaching out to you. It's a human being. Right. Be polite, be respectful. You would want, if you applied to a job, someone to say you didn't get it. you would want them to return your call or to return your message and say, hey, I never heard back from you. Yeah, unfortunately, it went with someone else. Just having that
Right.
is nice. And so keep that in mind, guys. When people reach out to you, if it's not a good fit, hey, this isn't a good fit, but please keep me in mind for JavaScript roles or what have you.
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing to know. And the other thing, and I teach this to my team internally, it's a small town. Don't burn bridges. You never know where someone's going to end up. And I think that's just be a good human being, like treat people with respect. And because you never know, they might be a manager down the road and they get your resume, they're going to remember you. So, be polite, be respectful, try and build relationships. And just remember that it's another human being on the other end.
Yeah. And do you recommend LinkedIn Premium? I know you get like 5 in-mail messages a month.
No, instead, the tactic is to send a connection invite. That's free. And
Right.
what you do is you just say, I'm a recent grad of the Tech Academy and I'm looking for junior development opportunities. And I would love an opportunity to connect, to hopefully leverage my network and yours. Like just something like that. Hey, I just need some help. Would you mind connecting? And once they're connected to you, then you have their contact information.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions, Kyle. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Jeffrey. I put his LinkedIn in the chat box. And also, if you do want to go back and watch this video again, we're recording it, so we're going to post it on our YouTube channel. And here's our Tech Talk playlist where you can find our previous talks also. And aside from that, as you know, we do this every Friday. So next Friday, we actually have someone coming in and doing a quick demo on TypeScript. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up. Here's the meetup link in the chat box. And also, I'm just going to plug on all my links all at once. If you just want to learn more about the Tech Academy, feel free to do so. Here's our website. We do have different boot camps that we offer. We don't have a start time, so you can start as soon as you start the program, basically. And it's self-paced, so you can definitely do it whenever you have time. And we have our great, awesome instructors to help you from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So definitely check that website out. And that's it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good talk, Jeffrey. Really good information for our students on LinkedIn. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I had a great time.
Thank everyone for coming out. And yeah, do tune in next Friday, same time.
Will do. All right. Thanks, Jeffrey.
You're welcome, Kyle.
Bye, guys.
Hey, Rick, can you stay online for a second?